All right, it's that time. It's 6 p.m. on Wednesday, and we're going live. I'm going live, and this is definitely new for me. I don't, normally just will record a video, and then all of the mistakes that I make in between, I can edit out. So that luxury is gone, but that's okay because this isn't my first rodeo when it comes to talking about cleansing. So, for those of you who are new to this group, I think most of you guys already are familiar with me, but I think there are a few new people in here, so I just thought I would go ahead and introduce myself to you to let you know who I am. My name is Lori Painter. I'm a holistic health practitioner. I have been practicing since 2002, quite a long time, and I will say I'm not a doctor. I'm not diagnosing. I am not prescribing or giving any medical advice in this video today. I have been practicing holistic medicine since 2002, and that's been 16 years, and that's when I also started cleansing. I had my first experience with cleansing, and over the years, excuse me for a second, over the years, I did all sorts of different types of testing of cleanses. I did the master cleanse. I remember doing Western Botanicals liver and colon cleanse. I did, gosh, I can't remember the name of this company, but I've done the clean program. I've done, who did it? Oh no, I'm blanking on the name. But I've probably done, in 16 years, 16 different cleanses. And the good thing is that I've had enough experience with this to know what it should feel like on a cleanse, what cleanses are more effective, all the different variations in between. So as I'm getting ready to go and launch this cleanse for 2018, this is something that I do every year. And I think of it much like this. When it comes to anything that we have, and we think about this when I think of your car. We go and we get our car maintained. We take it to the mechanic. We get oil changes, radiator flushes, transmission flushes. We do all sorts of maintenance, mechanical maintenance. And then we also go ahead and we get our cars detailed and things like that. Well, our cars we can at least switch out, but your body and your mind, that stays with you for good. So if there's one thing to master, in my opinion, it's to master the self-care of the body and the mind. So what better way to do that than to take the time to check in and tune in to see how your body is performing. So this whole call is, do I need a cleanse? How do I know if I even need a cleanse? I put out the announcement that I'm doing my annual cleanse. I invited you to participate along. But maybe you don't need a cleanse, and maybe you don't even really understand all of the little ailments that show up that would indicate to you that a cleanse is appropriate for you. So I am one that loves to measure things. I love to know that I'm progressing, and I love to be able to see where I rank. So today we're going to be going over some tests, and you are going to be ranking yourself as excellent, good, fair, and poor, and I've got all of the results for you, so you get to see this, and it's just a great way to kind of give yourself a self-assessment and see how you're doing with your health. Now for me, I'm 42 now, and some of you have been with me all the way back since 2011, when I first started doing online cleanses. So all of my veterans there, I am saying hello to you, and definitely want your participation in this because you've learned a thing or two over the years of your cleansing process. But one of the things is, I'm 42 now, and I don't know how old you are, but as we age, there's just so many things that start to creep up little by little, and if we don't take the time to tune in and check it out, so much time can pass. So for example, if you go and you're on the Facebook group, well obviously you're on the Facebook group, and you scroll down below this live video, you will see that I posted a self-health profile. And it's a PDF, and you can click on that. And if you click on it, that is going to be what we're going to be filling in today, and you will be putting in your scores. And actually, you have the whole week to do this, but if you want to go through the process, that's what this video is all about. So I'm going to be talking you through the process of how to do all of these little fun self-assessments to see where you rank with your health and if a cleanse is appropriate for you. So this cleansing, again, for me, is just a way to make sure that I'm preventative and I'm restorative. I actually already did earlier today my own health profile, and I compared it to the results from last year, and I can see how little micro levels my health has gotten a little off track. And that happens in life. Listen, we're meant to be here and enjoy our bodies and enjoy this life, and it's not about being perfect all the time. It's about really just enjoying your life and doing the best that you can do. And sometimes we get a little off track, and what better way to check it out than this? So I noticed on my own that I had dropped down a couple of points since last year. So thankfully I track this, and if you do too, and if this is a year that you have you've been doing this with me for some time, I challenge you to go and pull up your original or even last year's or any of the previous years' profiles that you've made and see where you're at this year. I have done some changes with the profile and the testing, so I'm looking forward to sharing with you tonight a little bit more of that stuff. So yeah, let's get started. So there are obvious signs that you need a cleanse, or that a cleanse can be good for you, and you won't really need to go through all of the testings. If you already know that you're not feeling good most of the time, if you're noticing that your mood and your energy is low, and it's been that way for some time, that is usually a key indicator that a cleanse would be good for you. Because I don't know if you know this, but over 70% of your feel-good hormones are manufactured in the gut. And that's what a cleanse is. It's about cleaning out the gut from your mouth to the other end, all the way through, getting it squeaky clean so that all of those feel-good hormones are pumping through your body. They're manufactured in your gut. So if you want to feel good, you need a good, clean gut. So that is your first indicator that that's very obvious that a cleanse would be good for you. Another thing is if you have excess body fat, and I'm talking even just 10 pounds overweight, is a very good indicator that a cleanse would be good for you. Another thing is if you're experiencing a little digestive upset, and this is anywhere from burping after meals, this is feeling bloating and gas, if you're constipated, if you're having IBS, if you're getting food sensitivities, things like that. You're noticing that your gut is just not lean and pulled in, it's starting to protrude a little bit, then that is a really good sign that a cleanse would be good. As a matter of fact, I would say that is the thing that you're going to notice first and foremost when you start doing your cleanse, is your digestive chaos is going to turn to digestive peace. And I truly feel that if your gut is peaceful, then the mind and the emotions tend to be. And again, like I said earlier, 70% of your feel-good hormones are manufactured in your gut. So, I mean, that should be just right there in itself, just an amazing reason to go ahead and get started with cleansing. Also, if you are noticing that your mental focus is off, you're not motivated, you're not driven, you're feeling a little lethargic and depressed, again, that would be, these are the obvious signs that you may want to consider doing a cleanse, because those are going to be the things that a cleanse will counteract. You can expect when you do a cleanse to feel your mood heighten, to notice that the days feel brighter, the energy feels lighter, you feel like you're operating on a fully charged battery instead of 10% or on a low end of your battery. So that's going to be one of the things that you'll notice when you do a cleanse. And it's very common. This cleanse that I offer is for a month. It's 28 days. It's 4 weeks. And although we give some time prepping and getting going in this and take your time acclimating, the actual cleanse is 4 weeks. And you can expect to lose, depending on what your weight is, up to about 15 pounds during that time. So it's a nice, fun jump start to getting some quick results with your health that will help you keep going on your health journey. So no matter where you're at right now, it may be that you're not overweight at all. And if you aren't overweight, you probably won't lose any weight, because how body weight and cleansing works is if you're naturally already at your weight, you can be cleaning up toxicity and symptoms that have shown up, but body fat might not be one of those issues for you. But if it is, if body fat and being a little overweight is something that's coming up, you could look forward to dropping a good 10 to 15 pounds over the course of a 1 month cleanse, which is fantastic because on average, when you're doing a regular health program, you can expect to lose about 2 pounds a week, which is about 8 pounds. So this is just a little jump start. And the reason being is there's going to be some little additive details that are above and beyond just changing your diet. So those things really start getting the organs primed and operating at full capacity. Again, think of it back to the analogy that I gave you about a car. You know, if it's putzing around, you go take it in for a tune-up and it's zipping along. So that's pretty much how it's going to work with your body as well. It's just a more sophisticated machine. So again, you're also going to notice, like I said earlier, digestive peace. You're going to feel calm within your gut. And obviously that's going to affect your mind and your ability to, your good feelings and your ability to focus. That's something that I personally love when I go through a cleanse, is I feel like instead of being chaotic in the mind, my distraction factor is just so much, everything just quiets down from the external world and the internal world gets a little bit louder. So it can also be a very spiritual journey as well. It's a nice little kickstart. So those are the obvious signs and some of the benefits, obvious benefits that you would get from doing a cleanse, or if you need a cleanse. However, today we are going to go further and deeper because there are minute little things that start to creep up. Think of it like dust. You know, it doesn't all accumulate in one day. It's little by little, and by a little time passes, it can really accumulate. And that's going to be the stuff that we're going to be talking about today. So I'm excited to share this stuff with you. And again, you're going to be ranking your health in all the different categories today, which I'll share with you. We're going to be doing a toxicity analysis, which is going through and just seeing if any symptoms are starting to creep up. We're going to be going over body fat, taking measurements, and your body ecology, and I'll explain what that is, and a pH test, and then a little 6 doctors challenge for you at the end of this. But you're going to go through and rank, and I've put the scores. So again, if you're on here and you can see the self-assessment profile, you can go ahead and see all of the tests that I just mentioned, and then a column for you to fill it in, and then to the side of it is the scores and what excellent health your score would be if you were in excellent health, good health, fair health, and poor health. So some of the hidden issues that are exposed in going through this process is that we start to learn that, you know, we've got colon toxicity, our liver toxicity is going up, our adrenals are burned out, our thyroid is not operating functionally, and all of these things start to kind of get like the Tin Man, a little creaky and needs a little oil and a little bit of love. So this, going through these tests, will help you kind of expose some of those areas. And also certain parts, some things affect people in one particular aspect of their health, and some have it just accumulating all the way around. So it's going to really help you understand. You might go through one of them and see that your score is sky high in one particular aspect of these tests. And that is a really good way for you to tune in and start doing some self-care to really hone in on that particular aspect, because there's definitely going to be herbs that can help that, nutritional deficiencies that can help that, and you'll be able to really heal those areas at a much more accelerated rate, because you're now going to be so much more in tune. So let's get going on these. I've got my little notes here to keep me on track. So some of the things that you're going to want to grab right now if you're watching this is go grab a paper and a pen, because you're going to need that. If you have a tape measure, now you can get a tape measure at a fabric store, a craft store. I picked this up at Walmart, but here's the thing, you've got to make sure that it's the right length, because this one, 26 inches, that's not going to work. So make sure you check the length. Now I have 3 others, but they're not with me here today. So this is going to be how you're going to be taking your measurements today and being able to mark those down, because those are going to be what helps you track your body fat. So let me see. The first thing that we're going to be hitting up on this, let me bring it up. Okay. Bear with me. Okay, so we're going to be here. This is actually kind of interesting. We're starting with your height and your weight, and I highly suggest you go and check your height, because I have noticed that I have been losing 1/4 of an inch almost every year, and it has little by little added up. So if you have been saying that you're a particular height for a really long time, I highly suggest you go and get your height retested, because it can change, all right? So get your height retested and then weigh yourself. And ideally weighing yourself first thing in the morning on an empty stomach before you've had anything to eat or drink, and after you have evacuated bowels and your bladder. So that will be your true starting weight. And then you're going to go ahead and measure your neck right here. You're going to be measuring your bust, which is the largest portion of your chest. And something I want to make mention is, as you're doing this, you're going to, I'm sorry, let me move this. As you're doing this, I want you to wear the same thing when you're retesting again. So for example, if you're wearing a padded bra, or you're wearing a different thickness in a sweater or something, I know it's summertime right now, but depending on what you're wearing is going to change your measurement. So make sure that whatever it is that you're weighing yourself with and what you're measuring is the same, just to make sure that you're actually getting accurate records. Then we're going to focus on the waist. So the waist is the smallest portion of your waist. So when you're doing your measurements, make sure you're looking in a mirror, a full-length mirror, so you can see how that looks, that you're getting the appropriate area all the way around. And then your hips, which is the widest portion of your hips. Once you get those numbers down, write them down, and you can print out that self-health profile, and go ahead, and there is a link that if you look under that self-health profile that I've put up here in this group, you can see that there's a link for the body fat score. It's a Navy calculator. Now, check this out. I know there are a million ways to test your body fat. There's ultrasound, there's ones that are picked up from your scale, there's, hydro getting underneath the water, and all sorts of, and there's the calipers where they're pinching. So there's so many different ways of measuring your body fat. But what I have found over the years and years and years of working and actually testing all those different forms of body fat testing is, for whatever reason, the Navy calculator gets it within 1 to 2% of your body fat. Really accurate, and it's really easy to do. So that's why I use it over and over. It seems a little old school, but it is really dynamic in that way. So really accurate. So I highly suggest you do that. So you go ahead and you go and click on that link to the calculator, enter your height, your weight, and all of your measurements, and write that percentage down. It gives you a number. And then go back onto your self-health profile, and you're gonna see there's 2 categories for men's body fat and women's body fat. And then there's, again, the ranking: excellent, good, fair, and poor. So go ahead and circle that number when you get it, and then we will move on. And something that I want to share is, in a cleanse, now if you ranked excellent on your body fat, then maybe you don't really need a cleanse. Maybe you're already living a really clean life, but let's see how you do on the rest of these tests. You can expect on a cleanse to move up about one rung per cleanse that you do. So each month, so if you're at poor, you're not going to say, oh, I'm doing this cleanse and I'm going to move all the way up to excellent by the end of the month. Now, nobody knows enough to be a pessimist, but I've been doing this for some time, and the average is to expect to jump up to the next level up. So if you're at good, then this just might bump you up into the excellent zone. So moving on is the toxicity score. So you can click on that link, and what I will share with you, let me click on it with you so I have it in front. Here I go. Whoops. Okay, so when you're here on the toxicity analysis, this to me is probably the most insightful tune into your body quiz. Now, I will say, for whatever reason, I have noticed this over the years, females in general will be overly sensitive, and they'll give me a score of 300 plus. And then men will do the test, and for whatever reason they kind of maybe they're not as in tune, but they'll give me a score of like 4 or 5, a very low number, maybe 20. And yet you can see that there's a lot more going on. So what I want to say to this is, when you look at the scoring, it has rarely to never, and then the first one is, it's got 5 different categories. Really, you may need some time to really tune in. A lot of times when you're living a busy lifestyle, these things are so subtle that you're not really paying attention unless they're like at the highest numbers, right? Where they're jumping out at you, and then you're like, oh, that might be an issue a little bit. That might be bothering me. So with that said, some people tend to be super hypercritical, and some people tend to be rather they scan things right over. So I don't know how you rank yourself, but that's just a little observation that I've had over the years of doing this. So it goes into all of these different things. So the ranking is rarely to never. If you never get it, and this is where you need your paper and your pen. So make sure you have this ready to go, and you're just going to mark, you've got digestive, and you could actually print this out, the toxicity analysis yourself, and you can just circle the numbers that you have there. But if you don't have a printer, because I know a lot of times people are getting to the point where they don't have a printer, you'll just write, like, we'll start here, digestive, and then you'll write out the numbers, and then you'll tally it up. So it goes through digestive, ears, emotions, eyes, energy level, energy and activity, mind, lungs, head, joints, muscles, heart, weight, nose, skin, other, mouth, throat. So as you can see, there will be perhaps one particular category that I just read off that is really high for you, and some of them might be zeros. Now, that is a really good time where you can tune in and start to research, and you can even ask me nutrients and herbs that can help support that particular aspect of the body, because each body part has a very particular, let's just say, nutrient that they tend to prefer or thrive best on, or some particular deficiencies. Particular deficiencies can show up in that one particular part of the body. So you're going to go through that toxicity analysis. There's 2 parts to it, and you're going to add up section 1, and then section 2 is a little bit different because you're just circling whether or marking on your paper and pen how many of these that you're exposed to on a regular basis or irregular. And then you're going to add up your points from section 1 and section 2, and then you're going to get your grand total. Once you get your grand total, you're going to write that number down back on your self-health profile. And that is your toxicity score. And then you're going to look over at the results category, and you can circle whether it's excellent, good, fair, or poor. Now, I'm going to share with you now, if you are doing this, it is very rare that I come across anyone that scores under 40 unless they are already living a really clean lifestyle. And that means they're not eating junk, they're working out, they're sleeping great, they're drinking their water, they're just on a different level. So be easy on yourself if you notice that your score is in the hundreds, which is not uncommon. Now, over 300, I might say, okay, something's going on there. But if it's in the hundreds, that's not a surprise. And if it is up there, you're going to notice a correlation. The higher that number is, the higher tendency you might find that you're dependent on over-the-counter medications, maybe even some prescription medications. And the beautiful thing about going through and doing a cleanse is that some of that toxicity starts to drop. And so that once the toxicity drops, then those symptoms disappear. I know that for years when I was growing up, I had respiratory problems. I had allergies, bronchitis, laryngitis, sinusitis, sinus infections, coughs, colds, flus, constant congestion, even at times needed an inhaler. I had become dehydrated, had asthma. So there's been times where respiratory tended to be my thing. But and I remember taking Benadryl and all sorts of different medications to try to get me through those difficult times. Over the course of the years that I've cleansed, and of course, cleansing helps you take your level and your diet takes it up a notch. And when you do that, the symptoms disappear. I have not had any of those symptoms in so long because I cleaned up my body and I cleaned up my diet. I don't have any of those issues, and that has been something that I thought I would live with for the rest of my life. So I want to encourage you, inspire you, if there's a particular part of your body that really struggles, a cleanse might be one of the things that jumpstarts the healing process for you, and those numbers will drop. And again, if you stay consistent, because consistency is king, if you stay consistent, you're going to climb up that ladder. So even if you're at poor today and you're scoring, you may find that you're at excellent in a few months' time. So, but it wouldn't be uncommon for the process to take even up to 18 months. So the range is huge, and it just depends on how your body responds, how responsive it is, and how far you have to go. But hey, I'll start with one step. So moving on, we're going into body ecology. And this is one of my favorite things to talk about because I see, and I don't know but if this is you, but tell me if you're putting in mouth sprays, mouth washes, mints, gums, you're putting on deodorant and perfumes and body sprays and lotions, you're noticing that, so your breath isn't, if you're not brushing your teeth or whatever, it smells bad, it smells off. If you're not wearing a deodorant, you'll smell it, even leaving yellow marks on from sweat and things like that. So body ecology, and I'm going to bring that one. So if you are with me right now, go ahead and click on the body ecology quiz, which is located underneath the link that I have posted here for your self-health analysis. So we're moving on to the body ecology quiz, and once you pull up that PDF, you're going to see which one of these 4 fits you, okay? Now, you're gonna find that you're possibly in between them, some of them, because you'll have moments of it applying and not. And that's very normal, so don't worry about that. You'll give me between 1 and 2, so maybe you'll give me a 1.5, you know? All right, so it's very amazing, and one of the things that I would say is when I went to school and they took the time to describe what healthy digestion was, my jaw dropped. I had never even heard of digestion being the way that it was described, and I wondered, who has digestion like this? I will tell you that usually within a week, not even for me, myself, usually 72 hours is what I have people notice a huge shift in their digestion. 72 hours. It doesn't take a lot of time to start to notice these shifts in their digestion, and they start to get to the points that you're going to see me read about right now. So let's get started on that. I love this part. So option 1, tell me if this sounds like you. If you have a flat, lean tummy that is light, that means you can pull it in the morning. I do a navel to spine test where you can actually see your ribs and your hip bones when you wake up in the morning, and by sucking in your stomach, and it's peaceful. That means it's not rumbly and bloated and gassy and burpy, that you're eliminating maybe 3 or more times in the day, and that you're not holding it all day. I know a lot of people will do that. They will hold, when they need to go to the bathroom, they will put it off because they're at work or they're driving or it's just not convenient for them. That would be a habit I would highly suggest as anyone to let that one go and really take good care of your body and find yourself a restroom. But so you go to the bathroom within minutes of feeling the urge to evacuate and you don't hold it in. Elimination is effortless and rapid. And what I mean by that is you wouldn't even have time. You know how you go into the bathroom and you see magazines and books? You wouldn't even have time to open up one of those because it would be done within maybe 90 seconds. So that is one of the things. And it's effortless, meaning like you're not straining, you're not, that's really the best. There's no laboring for that process. You're not holding your breath. You're not, that process of bearing down is not really happening. Again, you don't need more than 90 seconds on the toilet. They are odorless. So if you're noticing that your bowel movements are odorless, and also they don't float. This is something really interesting. It's not even on here, so this is kind of cool. If they float, if you put fat and water together, the oil will float to the top. It'll sit to the top. And whenever you have a bowel that floats, probably is high in fat. So ideally, you'd want it to sink to the bottom. Yeah, we're getting that intimate on this. And so they're also odorless. So if you find that you're using that, poo-pourri or those little toilet drops, or you're using a freshener, lighting a match, turning on the fan, things like that, opening a window, one of the things that will clear up when doing a cleanse is that right there. So they become odorless and effortless and quick. So that's actually, again, I think one of the reasons that people will put off going into the bathroom out and about is because of some of those reasons, and understandably so. I get it, but that would be alleviated through cleansing and cleaning up your lifestyle. Let me keep going. Here's something, again, these things blew my mind when I first heard it. So your bowel movements are like a smoothie or like a nut butter consistency. I mean, everybody's had almond butter, peanut butter. That is very soft, and there's no hard pellets or anything like that. One wipe with the toilet paper is sufficient because the toilet paper will be clean with the first wipe. So if you live a really clean diet, you'll use toilet paper and nothing is coming off of the toilet paper. And think of this like animals that eat that way, that are eating a really clean diet, they're not using any of those products, obviously. So then what you find is we're much the same way. So if you're needing to use a lot of toilet paper, that can be an indicator that something's going on with the way that you're eating and your digestive health. Cleanse might be good for you. So and here's the thing, is when you flush, your bowels, the bowel movement breaks up completely. It's no longer solid. It did not maintain its form when you're flushing, and it cannot streak the toilet. So if you're noticing streaking, again, that actually is a sign of constipation. Mind-blowing. And I remember in school they said that a healthy bowel movement would be 12 to 18 inches long. That again, now over the course of the years, I get it, but in the beginning that was hard to imagine that was healthy and possible. So if you're with me on that, I understand and I can relate completely, but let me be a bearer of inspiration on this, that definitely changes. Okay, so, and your transit time. What transit time is? So it says transit time is within 12 to 24 hours and you don't need to use digestive aids. So let me go over transit time. Transit time means it's from the moment that the food goes into your mouth to the time that it leaves your body. So sometimes if you're eating a really heavy, dense diet, food can stay in your gut for more than 72 hours, sometimes even over a week. Sometimes it streaks on the lining of your gut, and we'll talk about that more. That's why your gut doesn't go flat. Those streaks on the lining of your gut starts to build up, and you don't get that flat tummy, but you're also blocking nutrient because it's being coated. It turns into like a mucoid plaque, and you can get all sorts of gunk adhering to the lining of your digestive system in the lower portion. So transit time is when it ideally is within 12 to 24 hours. And now you might be saying, how do I measure this? How do I know from the time that I eat it to the time that I evacuate? Well, as you clean up your diet, and if you go through this cleanse with me, you're going to notice that that's what's happening, is that I love to either test it with 4 cups of something, whether it's corn, because obviously that's very common for people to be able to identify really easily. Beets are another thing. So like 4 cups of one particular thing, so you can actually see when you're passing that. So you're eating a large volume. Beets, because they're bright red, it's a very obvious thing that you'll notice. Carrots, anything, green smoothies works really well. As long as it's about 4 cups, then and you eat it in one sitting, you'll be able to test your transit time. So that is super part of your option 1. And again, you wouldn't need to do a cleanse. If I'm describing you right now, you're in the excellent zone, and you probably don't even need a cleanse. And you don't need digestive aids. And what I mean by that is that you're not taking Gas-X, you're not taking Pepto-Bismol, you're not taking Tums or antacids, you're not using laxatives, things like that. You're not using digestive aids to, deal with all of those things, because you don't need them, because you feel digestively at peace. Now, you can go ahead and read down to option 2. This is where you start getting gassing, burping, bloating. You're rumbly, you're gurgly with the occasional mild indigestion. You're still eliminating 1 to 2 times a day. And you go to the bathroom within an hour of needing to, so you're not holding it off too much. And when you go to the bathroom, there's a little bit of effort, but you're usually fine in a couple of minutes. And the bowel movement might have some odor, but it's not like completely offensive. And it might be firmer, thicker. You might need a couple of wipes with the toilet paper to sufficiently clean. And when you flush, the bowel movement doesn't fully break up. It might partially break up or stay totally solid and formed. And again, sometimes streaking. Now, and your transit time is probably within 24 to 48 hours. And again, you're not really, maybe you're using a little bit of digestive aids. I know a lot of people use caffeine as a stimulant for to have a bowel movement and things like that to produce bowel movements, or using digestive aids. So maybe you occasionally use those things. You would choose option 2. Option 3 is you have a distended and protruding abdomen. I mean, there's definitely, it's sticking out and it feels heavy, and you often will experience heartburn and gas, bloating, indigestion. You might even have hemorrhoids, and you might eliminate 1 to not even 1 time a day, and you might notice that you either don't have the urge to go, or that you often find that you're subconsciously not even paying attention, that you're holding it off for as long as you possibly can. You don't want to be bothered with it. So you're going well over an hour. And you might even experience some cramping during your bowel movement. And you might notice that you are taking time. It's a little bit labored process. There's a little bit of effort and strain. This is where I'm talking about. You're opening the window, lighting a match, using some air freshener. You'll use more than 2 wipes of toilet paper. So you're going through more toilet paper. And when you flush, it's staying solid. It doesn't lose its shape. And you might be the type of person, you need to use the plunger or things like that. So, and so you might the toilet might clog on occasion. And transit time is usually over 48 hours. And you can take that test by how I just described it earlier. And you really do. You often rely on digestive aids such as enemas, suppositories, caffeine, laxatives, like I said, antacids, Pepto-Bismol, all those kinds of things, Tums, whatever different product names there are to just bring digestive peace for your system. And then number 4, option 4 is, and this is where it kind of switches a little bit, and this is where the IBS symptoms start coming up, where you're alternating between like constipation all the way over to rapid bowels, and not quite diarrhea, but pretty darn close to it. So you might have like violent bouts and infrequent, intense bouts of going to the bathroom. Sometimes you might find that you're going more than 5 times a day. You'll feel a sense of urgency and rushing to the bathroom, and you can't hold it off. And again, it might be explosive, and you can even smell undigested food and sugar in the bowels because the food is not fully digested before it's even evacuated. So it's watery, diarrhea-like. You could even identify some of the food that's passing through because it didn't fully break down. You might notice that you have food allergies and sensitivities, and food is often leaving the body in less than 12 hours of consuming it. So you're not needing the laxatives or anything like that. As a matter of fact, you're probably going to want something else, like to bulk it up and slow it down. That's the other end. And so that's where there's this happy medium in between. So that might be, you're going to be between one of those 4 options. And then that's just digestion. You're going to move down to skin and body odor. I'm going to let you go ahead and read those as well. Actually, no, we can go ahead and do that because we're almost done here. But it's your skin and your body odor. So you're going to check one of the following when it comes to your skin. And now when you do a cleanse, your skin will sweeten up. It will lose if you have any odor to it, it is gone. Same with just even hand, foot, that if you notice that you have foot odor, anything like that, cleanse will eliminate or reduce that significantly. So number 1 is, tell me if this sounds like you. You would check number 1, if you do not wear deodorant, your skin smells sweet even after sweating in a workout, and you don't have breakouts, red, flaky skin. Your skin is clear, translucent, odorless. Now, you choose option 2 if you have some mild body odor after an intense sweaty workout. Otherwise, your skin is odorless and you don't really need deodorant. The skin tastes and smells sweet, but it does have a slight saltiness after like working out, and the skin rarely breaks out, gets red, flaky skin. So that's number 2. Number 3 is you have some body odor, but natural deodorants seem to work for you. The skin will taste salty mostly throughout the day, whether you're working out or not. And definitely after working out, you might notice some little bit of slight sweat marks. And I'm not talking about wetness, I'm talking about coloring, but slight, very, very slight. And then you choose number 4 if you need to wear the standard deodorant because the natural deodorant doesn't work and your body odor is strong. A lot of times people say, I can't go to that natural deodorant, Lori. It doesn't work. It's not effective. This is, to me, where the flag goes off and says, hey, there might be some cleansing that can help clear this up so that it does. Your skin will smell strong after sweating, and it doesn't taste good when you put your tongue on it. You might even notice a bit of like an ammonia smell to it. And your skin might always have some sort of a breakout, flaky redness, something going on with your skin, where it's ruddy, maybe it's got little bumps on it, it's not got that smooth texture to it. So you're going to select one of those options, then we're going to move down to mouth and body odor. Now, option 1, you never have bad breath, even after eating, unless it's obviously garlic or onions, right? And that's when it smells like the garlic or the onions. It smells just bad. And your mouth never feels dry or excessively wet. Option 2 is you rarely experience bad breath, but it goes away completely after brushing. You rarely use gum or mints, and you occasionally get a dry mouth or a slight drooling. 3 is you often experience bad breath, but it goes away after you brush your teeth, and you might find that you use gum and mints, and you often have a dry mouth or a drooling mouth. Or option 4 is you experience bad breath even after brushing your teeth, and you almost have a thick saliva, dry mouth, unless you're constantly putting something in your mouth to keep that from happening. So choose one of those 4, and again, you're going to notice that as you cleanse, you're going to go up to the first option. And then the last one is infections and getting sick. So I never get sick. Option 1 is I never get sick or have used antibiotics. I take probiotics and eat fermented vegetables regularly. Option 2, I rarely get sick, but I use natural remedies and heal faster. And I occasionally do some fermented foods and probiotics. Option 3 is I get sick occasionally and use antibiotics when I'm sick, but I always follow up with probiotics afterwards. Awesome, that's good. And then number 4, I get sick and I use antibiotics, but I don't use probiotics, and I don't eat any fermented vegetables. That would be option 4. So you're going to go ahead and tally up all of those points all the way through, and you're going to get your total score. And then you're going to go right back and put that down on your self-health profile under Body Ecology, and then look over to the results section and see where you rank. The next is pH. Now, check this out. You can go and get pH strips at any health food store. And so, like, I don't know, it depends on if you're in the US or not, but if you have a natural health food store, you could pick up pH litmus strips. And I love this because, so there's different companies and they have their colors where you can test this. And the way that you test your pH is that so if you're using your saliva, you're actually going to spit out onto a spoon. Try not to get any bubbles, and then you're going to dip your strip into the saliva, hold it, and you're going to wait 15 seconds, and then you're going to put it up against your color chart. And each company might have slightly different directions for that. And so double check your packaging. And prices, I'm guessing anywhere from $10 to $20 something for these. This was, I think, like $12, $13, but this is like, how many strips? 90 strips. I mean, wow. So here's the reason why pH is so important and why you don't want to overlook this. So definitely go and get yourself some pH litmus strips. Oh, before I forget, there's another way of testing your pH, and it depends on the types of strips that you get, but it can also work in your flow of urine, and you would do the same thing. You would pick up your sample and wait 15 seconds and test it. So the reason why pH is so important, and I learned this long ago, is that disease cannot grow in oxygen-rich blood, nutrient-rich blood, and in the proper pH. So when disease starts to creep in, it's because of one of those three things or all of those three elements. It's oxygen poor, meaning, like, think of it like this. If you put something, a wet towelette or something in a moldy, damp, air-restricted area, like maybe in a cabinet, it's going to mold. That is, gunk is going to start to grow. But if it has a lot of oxygen and air flowing through, chances are that it's not going to happen. Same with nutrient. If the body is nutrient rich, then it will be far more resistant to disease and problems. So they've even done this test with plants, potted plants, where they put the soil, really nutrient rich soil, and then the same exact plant in nutrient-poor soil. And they found that the plants that were in nutrient-rich soil were just resilient, lush, vibrant, and no pests seemed to bother them. But the ones that were in the nutrient-poor, the plants that were in the nutrient-poor soil, they were weak, they didn't thrive, and all the insects seemed to know to go after that particular plant and just really tear it up. So there is almost like a pheromone or something that just puts out these plants that it's resilient and it's strong, or it's weak and depleted. So again, oxygen rich or oxygen poor blood. So if you're not exercising, may this inspire you. Oxygen rich blood, or nutrient rich or nutrient poor. So that's the other one. And pH. And pH is so specific. And if you have a pool or you have any body of water, you know that, especially like if you've seen where the maintenance, you have to test the pH of the pool. And if you don't, or if you don't have the right pH, the pool will go green. And it's because it needs to be within a very particular range to be clear, clean. And our blood is the same. If we want to be free of symptoms and ailments, our pH needs to be on point. So testing this, oh no. So testing this will give you a really good indicator. So if you do a cleanse, you're going to notice that the cleanse includes a lot of alkalinity. We tend to be more on the acidic side with our lifestyle, with stress, our diets, things like that, and then being on the alkaline. However, there are some people that do struggle with the being on the other end of the spectrum. So go ahead and test that out. And I put in there, take your pH, and again, you wouldn't want to eat or drink within an hour of before of taking your pH test. And again, each strip might say something slightly different, or if you're doing urine, it might be a different reading. So make sure you read your instructions, write that number down, and mark it down on your self-health. Mark it down on your little self-health profile and see where you're at. Then I put in here an optional one. It's a biophotonic scan. And I put that, and if you go and you look at the link that I have, where you have the self-health profile, there's the biophotonic scan. There's a locator for you to see where there might be a scan near you, and they don't usually charge very much. However, over the years, it's started to go up. And then there is a video where Dr. Oz talks a lot about it. He actually has everyone in his audience wearing a colored shirt based on the score that they have. This is where I was sharing with you about nutrient-rich blood or nutrient-rich soil and nutrient-poor soil. Biophotonic scan is testing the antioxidants, the nutrient density of your skin. And it is just a simple, you hold your hand up to a laser that can actually read this. Technology is amazing. I have been doing biophotonic scans, I believe I started in 2004, and my score has just been going higher and higher over the course of the years as my health has improved and my awareness and understanding of nutrition has heightened and become more sophisticated. I still have the woman that I go to, she tells me, you are the highest scoring person that I've ever had on my scanner. And she asks me constantly what nutrients I'm taking, what supplements I'm taking. I'm saying, I'm not using any supplements. This is all because of my diet. So there is a way to make sure that you get the nutrient you need and that you're not in nutrient poor skin. So that's a fun little scan to do. It takes like 90 seconds and it costs usually $20 or less. And there's a locator, but if for some people that's just not an option, it's not available. So don't worry about that because all the other things that you're doing is giving you a really good indicator. But if you do go and get a biophotonic scan, and I think I have some, I might go in here after the fact and post some of my scores that I've had in the past. I've just made an appointment to get one scanned in this upcoming next week, next Wednesday. So I'll post that up as well. So that is, let's see, I think I'm almost done here. Yeah, your biophotonic scan. And now the last part is a challenge that I want to give to you. I want you to take this next week and check to see how many days you get in these 6 doctors. So there's this really cute quote, really cute poem, whatever, that talks about the 6 most important doctors. And oftentimes people can talk about health so much that that they're doing all these minute things, but they're missing the basic elements of health. And these are the 6 healthiest habits that you can have. Getting full rest every single night, getting about 15 minutes of full body sun on your body every day. It doesn't need a lot and it doesn't need to be during peak hours. And if you're really sensitive to the sun, obviously get it earlier in the day or when it's less intense later in the day. Eating 4 Brazil nuts a day starts to build up your sunblock capacity, and also eating fruits and vegetables, you'll notice that you become more, you're literally eating your sunblock. So 15 minutes of sun, so if you're sun sensitive, you'll notice that change. If you're getting fresh air, if you're either in a place that has filtered air or you're able to open up your windows or you're able to get out into nature on a regular daily basis, that you're drinking about 3 liters of water a day, you're exercising about an hour a day, and then I put in here a 9-cup diet. And with 9 cups, I'm meaning fruits and vegetables. So if you see there, in the category, it says a /63 under your results, because if you were to eat 9 cups of fruits and vegetables every single day, 9 times 3, I'm sorry, 7 is 63. So I put in there the scores for excellent, good, fair, and poor. So I want you to challenge yourself. Track that over the course of the week, and then we'll check in next week. I'm going to go ahead and have another live video with you guys and help you navigate the next step if you're noticing that you ranked pretty low on this and that a cleanse would be good for you. So thank you so much for hanging out in here. I hope that this was insightful, and I am looking forward to seeing you post your results if you're comfortable doing that. And of course, at any time you can reach out, shoot me an email, message me, and I will be here to answer some of your questions. But with that, I am hoping that now you know if a cleanse would be good for you or not. And I will be sharing more with you next week.